So we're here today to look at this rather special lot 305 that's going to be in Gorringes' June special summer fine sale. And Philip, this is a discovery, isn't it?
It certainly is. This is what makes an auctioneer's life very, very interesting, that during the course of the year, a few times during the year, we come across something which is really very, very special indeed. And this indeed is one of those such items. It's come from a property about 10 miles from the sale room, and although the owner, I think, knew that it was of some importance, I don't think she realised just how important it is. And the reason is, there's some coincidences here. This is the book we're talking about, or volume if you want to say. It's more of an album than a book. But the same thing was produced as a first edition in 1834, and here actually is my own copy.
And this is Gray's Elegy.
Gray's Elegy.
So when's the first edition?
Well, the first edition is produced by persuasion of lots of Gray's friends, because he wasn't very keen on publishing it.
Yeah.
In fact, he only actually published 13 poems, and he started on the Elegy in the mid-1840s and completed it by about 1750 rather.
Right. Yeah.
And he was persuaded by the death of his aunt, another rather unfortunate event, and a very bad accident to Horace Walpole, his friend, to publish his Elegy, which is all about the fortunes of life and basically man's mortality. So that's the first edition. Is actually published in 1751. Very, very rare. Doesn't make a huge amount of money. In fact, it was very, very popular when it came out. It was published in 4 or 5 editions in the first year, but the first edition makes 5,000 to 7,000, something like that. Well, we have to skip forward to the 1770s, 1777 in fact, where for the first illustrated edition by the great William Blake. And he illustrated that Gray's Elegy with 6 very nice, typically William Blake illustrations. But skipping forward again to a further 50 years to 1834, this is my own copy. I bought that when I was 15 to 16 years old. And the book is actually put together and arranged by a bibliographer and a bookseller called John Martin. And Martin at one point started off his life with the bookseller's Hatchards, and curiously, my copy is actually bound by Hatchards. Nice. It's a great success. What Martin's done, he's managed to bring together, and in thinking those days there's no emails, there's no rapid post, he's brought together 33 etchers and about 18 or 19 different artists who supplied the original drawings for the work, got them all together, including no less than 8 Royal Academicians. But of course, the main interest in this particular volume is the fact that 3 of the works in the volume are by the great John Constable. The lady who owned the volume was initially thought it would be to be of some value or certainly of some interest, because in the first flyleaf there's a letter here, a very rare letter by John Constable. And the reason I meant to say it's rare is the fact I trawled back for over 50 years of auction accounts, and I can find no other letter in the previous 50 years which incorporates a little vignette by Constable contained in the letter. And this indeed is a little drawing here of Stoke Poges, and he's effectively, the letter is asking John Martin whether he'd like the little drawings he's done to go along with other contributions in the album or the volume. So what Martin has done with this particular volume, the drawings in my early volume are exactly the same size in this volume, exactly the same size.
There we go. So this is like someone today getting hold of Damien Hirst and David Hockney and Tracy Emin and saying, can you illustrate a poetry book for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And certainly in
the superstars of the day.
Certainly in the 18th century, Gray's Elegy was thought to be the greatest piece of poetry in the English language for the 18th century.
Right.
Some people might contest that, of course. But what Martin's done is, once the plates, the original drawings have gone to the etchers, they really have not much use, and unless they go back to the artist. So he has managed to collect together, back from the etchers, no less than 17 of the original drawings, and he's decided to incorporate them into this specially commissioned volume. Bear in mind, all of the second editions are this size. This is the only one, his only commissioned work, which is the bigger, the octavo size. And the reason for it is that I go to one of the very first drawings. This one here. This is by Barrett, and it's an original sepia watercolour by George Barrett. Well, of course, if it had been this size, it would have had to have been chopped down, which would have been a great shame and a tragedy indeed. So he's had the volume made to fit these drawings. That actually is the largest. Now, skipping forward to where the value is, because let's make no bones about it, 98% of the value of this work is in the three drawings. That's right, is in the three drawings by John Constable, and here they are. There's one of the one of the famous stanzas to do with the ivy-clad tower.
And is that one signed?
That one isn't signed. There's only one of the three actually signed. Here's one which is the man at the gate, the church gate, contemplating the tombs, and we think that is actually Gray's tomb, and either this tomb or the other tomb is Gray's much beloved aunt Mary Antrobus, who also we think provoked him to write the Elegy.
Right.
He was very, very fond of her, and when she died in the 1740s, the whole family were devastated with her death. And we think this is another reason what prompted Constable to, or rather Gray rather, to illustrate, to write the piece of poetry.
Yes, yeah. And the condition's good, isn't it? Because
well, the condition
kept in this photo.
Absolutely, Clifford. Yeah, the conditions are remarkable. The book is just under 200 years old. But the condition of the colours, very often it's the reds which fade, and here's one of some crusaders here in a church interior, looking at a very ancient tomb of a crusader.
I see, and that's got the signature.
Yeah, this has got the signature, John Constable RA. In researching this work, there's been a couple of coincidences, because the references to these three works are in rather odd places, and one of them happened to be mentioned as being in the connoisseur book for 1954, and guess who just happened to have it in my garage?
Yeah.
There we are, and there indeed are
Never throw anything away.
Never throw anything away, and here indeed are the works.
So,
but these actually are Constable's preparatory sketches, not the originals which we've got in the book.
Right.
Because these are held. These are held in the British Museum, British Museum, and the Victoria and Albert Museum.
How interesting.
The book was so popular, even after the second edition, that it went into a third edition. And this, all of them have been published, by the way, by John Van Voorst. There's nothing much is known about him. He's not in the Dictionary of National Biography, but here he is launching now his prospectus for the third edition. And this one, it becomes a polyglot edition. Yeah. It's printed in Greek, Latin, German, French and Italian.
Amazing. 12 shillings in cloth.
Now, you haven't got around to asking me yet what we think it's worth.
What's it worth, Philip?
Well, this is a really tricky one, because there's nothing quite like it. It's not a book. They're not drawings. We hope that a buyer or a collector will try to keep it intact in its current form, because it tells a story. We have an estimate on it, a pre-sale estimate of 100 to 150,000, and that, as I mentioned earlier, is basically around the three Constable Watercolours and the very rare letter with the vignette of Stoke Poges Church. What it will make, we don't know. All I can tell you is we are in touch with institutions, museums,
That's it.
In the about lunchtime in the afternoon. And well, it'd be interesting to see how you get on.
Yeah, we look forward to it. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.